Welcome to day one, and I've got a picking exercise to kick things off, and this is a classic scale sequence. And I do like these kind of exercises. They're obviously great for picking technique, but also good just more generally for synchronizing both hands and getting everything really locked in. So let me play through the exercise to begin with. It goes like this. And I'm doing this in the key of C, and it's based on a 3-note per string C major scale. I think 3-note per string scale patterns are really good for these kind of exercises. It just means that the picking is very consistent throughout the whole pattern. So I'm just going to show you the scale shape to begin with. For those of you who are not familiar with it, we're starting here 8th fret on the low E string, and we've got frets 8, 10 and 12. That's C, D, E. And then over onto the next string, it's the same fret numbers, so 8, 10, 12. And then 4th string, we've got 9, 10 and 12. The same thing on the 3rd string, and then over onto the B string, 10, 12, 13. And then the same frets on the top strings. So quite a memorable pattern, this one. We've got these pairs of strings with the same fingering and the same frets. So it's 8, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, and then 10, 12 and 13. As far as fingering here, I would tend to play the low E and the A strings with fingers 1, 2 and 4. There is a little bit of a stretch involved here, but that's all good technique practice. It's not a sort of unbearably big stretch, this one. I think it should be pretty doable for most players. So I would finger that 1, 2 and 4. You have got a choice here. That middle note you could play with the 3rd finger. Some players prefer that, so that's kind of up to you, whichever is most comfortable. So I tend to go 1, 2, 4, and then 1, 2, 4 here as well, and then on the top pair of strings 1, 3, 4. So if you don't already know that scale, it's worth memorizing that, and you can just drill it up and down, just alternate picking. And once you've got that, we can actually get into this exercise. And as I said, it's a scale sequence, so we're taking the notes from that scale and we're just rearranging the order of them slightly and applying a particular kind of melodic pattern to the scale. It's a very widely used musical device. It kind of makes things sound a little bit less scaly and a bit more musically interesting. And yes, this is an exercise, but you could use fragments of this exercise in a melody or an improvisation. And the basic idea is just this. That's the kind of pattern behind this exercise. Once you've got that on the first pair of strings, we're just taking it across the other pairs of strings through the scale. So let's see what's going on here. We're starting on our C root note and we're climbing up the scale as far as this F note, and then we're going back again to the root once again, and then we're climbing up again, but this time going all the way up to this A note. So climbing up, then back down, and then up again a little bit higher. I'm playing this in a triplet rhythm, so you might like to think about those groups of threes. We've got 1, 2, 3, and then we're playing the F, coming down, and then the next group of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just climbing straight up the scale. Just wait for the helicopter to fly past before I continue. So the first thing to do would just be to get the first part of this exercise under your fingers. This is the first bar of the exercise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could just repeat that until you're comfortable with it. And it's super important with this exercise to pay attention to your picking hand and make sure that you're doing strict alternate down up picking. If you're not used to doing this, I see this with a lot of players that their picking hand is actually quite inconsistent. You might not even realise this, but when you actually pay attention to what's going on, you might see that sometimes you're playing 2 downstrokes in a row rather than always alternating strokes of the pick. So really pay attention to your picking hand and make sure it's behaving itself. So here we've got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're ending on an upstroke of the pick there. And then we can move on to the next bit of the exercise. And all we're doing is just playing exactly the same thing, but this time starting from the 5th string. So 8th fret on the 5th string, but it's the same pattern. Exactly the same picking, exactly the same pattern. We're just moving from the 5th string onto the 4th string. And then if I put the first 2 bars of the exercise together, we've got this. And then we can just continue. So now we're going to start here, 9th fret on the 4th string. And then from the 3rd string. Here we have got a slight kind of fingering thing here, so you need to pay attention to this, otherwise you're going to get in a muddle with your fretting hand. So here I would go, so I'm staying in position here, and then for the last 3 notes I'm coming onto my 1st finger, and that's taking me up 1 fret into the 10th position. So this note here, to start with, I'm playing it with my 2nd finger, and then I'm playing it with my 1st finger. It seems like I'm being a little bit fussy there perhaps, but this kind of stuff is important if you want to get this kind of exercise smooth and up to speed, so it's worth paying attention to the details here. And then we're on to the top pair of strings. So that's the top note of the exercise. Then we're coming back down again, and we're just reversing the pattern. So if you reverse the pattern, we've got this. So we're descending now from this high F note as far as this C. We're going back up to the top note, and then we're descending all the way down to this A note. So it's an exact reversal of the sequence. And then we're just taking that on down through the pairs of strings. So now starting on the 2nd string. And the fingering thing there again, so that's all in position. Then for these 3 notes I'm just squeezing onto my little finger to kind of ease me down into the next position. And then we just continue on down. So that's the exercise. If you've never done this kind of thing before, then take your time, do it slowly, and you don't need to do the entire exercise right away. You can just do bits of this exercise and then put it all together. So you might just like to work with a pair of strings. Just repeating that, making sure you're comfortable with it, and then gradually building up the entire exercise. So as I've already said, pay attention to your picking hand, strict alternate picking. Another thing that I'm quite big on is being nice and efficient with your fretting hand as well. So try and avoid having your fingers kind of flapping around too much. You want to try and keep your fingers nice and under control, fairly close to the strings. And once you're comfortable with the basic exercise, I'd strongly recommend doing it with a metronome. It's such an important practice tool. It forces you to play in time, and it kind of exposes inadequacies with your technique, places where you're not quite playing things smoothly or evenly. It's very obvious if you're doing it with a metronome. So I'll just play it through with a metronome. Now, as I said, I'm playing this with a triplet rhythm, so I'm going to set the metronome over here to 100 beats per minute, and we're going to be playing 3 notes per beat. So we've got this, the triplets will be like this. So da 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 ba 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 ba, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So let me just play the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would say that's kind of a medium speed for this kind of exercise. That may well be too fast for you, in which case slow it right down. Slow is often better when it comes to technique. Get it slow and perfect and then gradually push the speed up. But if your technique is already in a fairly good place, then you could certainly go faster than that. There are some people that would be able to absolutely shred through these kind of exercises. I'm not particularly a shredder, but by all means go quite a bit faster than that if your technique can handle it. And for you more advanced players who want a little bit more of a challenge, you could obviously play it a bit faster. You could try it with different scale types, so in any scale type you like, really. Maybe a melodic minor scale with 3 notes per string. So you could apply exactly the same sequence to that scale. You could try changing the rhythm. So I think this sequence naturally lends itself to a triplet rhythm, but what if you tried playing exactly the same exercise but with an 8th note rhythm or a 16th note rhythm? That would be an extra challenge, I think. So playing it like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and completely changes the feeling of the exercise. Have some fun with this. I just want you to spend 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max playing around with this exercise today, and I shall see you for some more technique fun tomorrow for day 2.